Hi, my name is Amanda Villa. My question was, can employers remain profitable if they pay a fair minimum wage to tipped employees and pass the cost on to consumers as a service charge? This would be versus currently taking a um, wage credit and paying service $2 or tipped employees $2.13 per hour plus tips. Exchanging this service charge for tips affects everyone. It affects the consumer, the employer, the employees, the IRS. It affects everybody. It would completely change the industry to make a change like this. Federal minimum wage for tipped employees has been $2.13 since 1991. Um, Employers have not had to pay more than that. They've gotten an additional tip credit since 1991. So, although minimum wage has gone up, employers that have tipped employees have not had to take this increase. It would change the industry from how income is received, how it's reported. It could affect recruiting, possibly even the quality of service if you standardize pay. Is there still going to be motive to go above and beyond? It would change the way the customer views. Right now they feel they get better service, they might tip more. If they feel that they got poor service, they might tip less. The consumer kind of pays what they feel they deserve, or even just what they want to pay sometimes. It would change everything. The consumers would no longer be given the option to tip, it would just be charged. As in other industries where you can be expected to set your price in order to cover your costs, in the restaurant industry, it's not that way. People get to kind of choose how much they pay, and so that would be a big change. Cost per customer would be standard. The employees would have a more stable income. They could say, this is how many hours I'm working, this is how much money I can get. They would also be getting their money on a check, instead of taking cash home every night. So it would be a lifestyle change for tipped employees. It would also be easier for them to budget their income. Currently, there are taxes that do not get paid because the income is not reported. With this system, all income would be reported and all taxes would be paid. Employers would be able to pay the higher wage through the collection of the service charge. Um, and it might be easier for employers to recruit employees if they can say, this is how much you're going to make. It would be such a change in the industry that right now employees kind of can pick, I think this restaurant's busy, they look like they I can make more money here, versus, it won't matter if it's busy or not. If you have an hourly wage, you're going to be paid the same, no matter what. So it might be easier to recruit employees. The alternatives were to change nothing. Just leave it the way it is. It's not required. Don't change it if it's not broken. The second choice would be that the employer just goes to the bare minimum wage, not above minimum wage, but just goes to bare minimum wage without the service charge, still allowing the consumer to tip and possibly managing the cost in other ways, or going to a more counter service type where people would get a buzzer and go pick up their food versus having someone bring it to them. And then a third alternative would be just that the employer pays the difference in minimum wage and increases prices to cover that cost, which double hits the consumer because then they are paying the increase in price and they're still expected to tip. And whether they will still tip at that point or not, it would be just an additional cost for them. I recommend at this time not making any changes. The changes are not required right now, and because it is such an industry changer, it's going to meet with very strong opinions all across the board. And I did not see enough cost savings to make it worth the change and the probable headaches. There's an increase of there's an increased risk of loss with this change. It does increase costs if you're not managing it. The hourly wage goes up, taxes go up. Um, it's just possible if you guarantee an hourly wage and it's not managed, you're guaranteeing money going out the door. You're not guaranteeing sales come in the door. So there's a risk there. It also takes the choice away from the consumer. So if they don't like it, they may not come to your establishment. Um, it possibly limits the employee's income. Right now, if they do above and beyond, then they might make more money. So they may not want this set wage. They may prefer to take the risk with tips. Mismanagement of hours can increase costs. A decrease in sales means less coming in, more likelihood that you might not be able to cover the cost. There is the lost benefit of the FICA tip credit, and there's the increased reporting liabilities. That's a different kind of tracking than what software does, and so it would be another step of management in this. And the alternative of just increasing prices, like I said earlier, puts all the costs on the consumer. So at this time, until it's required by law, I did not see enough benefit in cost savings for it to be a viable decision. As for this research, it can be used as a guide, a starting point to say, okay, well, it's possible to break even. Can it make money? If you can change the hourly wage, the hourly rate, use it as a starting point to figure out if it's viable for a different business. This establishment that I used as an example does have good sales and has had good business for a while. So it did show that it was possible, but a slower business, a lower volume establishment might be harder. It can be analyzed to see, where changes can be made. I do believe the IRS is going to continue to move towards ensuring that all income is reported. In 2015, they already changed where automatic gratuities cannot be counted as tips. They have to already be counted as service charges, so they are already taxable. And the employers that allow gratuities have already lost the FICA tip credit. So the step has already been made, and I do believe that with people pushing towards everybody making a fair minimum wage, that this is going to be something that, this scenario may not be what happens, but it needs to be considered because the steps seem to be going in that direction. And my final question would be, how is it going to affect the service industry? Is it going to be easier to recruit employees? Is it going to be harder? Service, if you guarantee the wage, will service suffer? If I don't get extra for doing extra, should I? Um, will managers be able to manage that? So these were the questions that I had going into this. I did answer some of them in that I can see that the cost savings can be there. It can be managed. It can be done. I think there's a lot of hidden money in tips with cash that it is probable that staff will make less money. That's money that they have not been recording or reporting. And so it was interesting and I did enjoy it. Thank you.